KTHQ sponsors Britannia High.
Gemma's main responsibility is collecting money from our Zone 2 parking meters and tallying the amount.
This Christmas, Connie Fisher stars in a story of escape,
All this fantasy and make-believe.
embezzlement,
You have a thief in your midst. That money is nowhere to be found.
and Elvis.
You've got the wrong girl. You haven't got the brains, let alone the balls.
It isn't even that much, really. And I am going to pay it all back, I am.
You can't walk out when you're caught in a trap. Boxing Day at 9, ITV1. The Royal returns.
Ready, stop!
This little girl in the pants.
Whose turn is it, please? Nothing move till I tell you.
Life-saving.
You love it as well as this. This watch used to be mine. I hope you'll be as proud to wear it as I have been.
Life-changing.
There's been an incident in town, a fire at a nightclub.
She's still in there.
Life-affirming.
Oh, Gordon.
The Royal. A new series. Sunday at 8 on ITV1.
Hello, time now for the Saturday evening update in the Midlands from Central News. Coming up, the government's warned to take urgent action to help save the Midlands car industry. Flooded out, the families who'll be homeless this Christmas. And why a planning row could see these owls evicted from their home. Good evening. Union leaders are warning the government to act soon to save the Midlands car industry. The call comes just days after reports that Jaguar Land Rover could get a £1 billion government bailout. Derek Simpson, the joint leader of the Unite Union, has urged the government not to delay helping the firm. He says the collapse of Jaguar Land Rover would be disastrous for the industry. Well, many employees at Jaguar Land Rover are based in Solihull, and earlier I spoke to the town's MP, Laura Burt. I asked her what message she wanted to send to the government about the car company.
Well, I know that Lord Mandelson has met with Jaguar Land Rover, and I know that he's been listening very carefully to what they say, but we need more than listening now. We need urgent action for the car industry.
So what exactly needs to be done?
Well, Jaguar Land Rover are not asking for a bailout. All they're asking for is a resumption of the normal terms of lending and some loan guarantees. And if we don't do that, you look at what's happening in the rest of the world. In America, they've just agreed a 17 billion package. All over Europe, other countries are helping their car industry. If we don't help here in the United Kingdom and our car industry goes, we'll never ever get it back again.
And we've heard today from Unite some serious concerns, tens of thousands of jobs possibly at risk. Do you share those levels of concern?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you look at the West Midlands, we're talking tens of thousands of jobs. But overall, the car industry supports a total of 840,000 jobs. I mean, it's inconceivable that that the government could allow that industry to actually go to the wall.
So we've heard then that talks have taken place. What do you see happening, what would you like to see happening over the next few days?
I'd like Lord Mandelson to pull his finger out and make an announcement to support Jaguar Land Rover for the things that they're asking for.
Are you confident that something can be reached that will secure the future of the company?
Well, I hope so, because it's inconceivable that this iconic mark could be allowed to go to the wall.
Solihull MP Laura Burt speaking to us earlier on Central News. Well, in other news tonight, parts of a Black Country village remain cordoned off after one man was stabbed and another was run over. It happened at around 1:30 this morning outside Bars South on Kings Winford High Street. The 25-year-old man who was stabbed is in a stable condition in hospital, while the 30-year-old struck by the car suffered a fractured pelvis. A 17-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of a fray. A woman has been charged over the death of a man in Northampton. Gintaras Popilian was stabbed to death at a house on Alcombe Road on Wednesday. The 34-year-old man from Lithuania died from a single stab wound to the chest. Daiva Popilian appeared before magistrates in Northampton charged with his murder. Some people living in Warwickshire are facing the prospect of Christmas away from their homes after severe flooding hit their street. Residents in Bedworth were forced to leave after flash floods struck last weekend, and they still haven't been able to return. Katie Fawcett has more.
Instead of decorating their homes this Christmas, the residents of Delamere Road are stripping them completely.
This is a typical living room scene since a flash flood last weekend devastated more than 30 homes on the estate. Grandmother Lynn Fisher has lost everything to the floodwater. Most of her worldly possessions have been thrown into a skip in her driveway. She's been told her house is uninhabitable and could stay this way for up to 9 months.
Shattered. Devastated. We've been here 40 years and nothing like this has happened before.
But the worst thing for Lynn is the loss of time with her grandsons, who now live in New Zealand.
I was thinking of going in January, but that's spoiled it now. I won't be able to go. I want to keep an eye on the property every day, see what's happening, yeah.
This is where the floodwater came from, a drainage ditch at the bottom of Crosspool. Normally the ditch carries water in that direction, towards the River Sow. But residents say last weekend it sent water gushing in the opposite direction, straight into Delamere Road. At a meeting today, the residents demanded to know why this happened and how they could stop it happening again.
It came at such a rate that in the end I realised it was going to invade the rest of the street, and I've got to think of my own home. And I tried to run down the street and the water was passing by me quicker than I could run. We had excrement and everything coming out of the manhole covers, because in our street and on this estate the rainwater and the excrement sewerage travels down the same passageway. So it was always a danger to us.
These watercourses flooded and rose up, and it happened very quickly. Some of the residents tell me 20 minutes from seeing some water appear to having their houses 2 feet underwater. People really want answers and they deserve them, and I intend to make sure they get them.
In the meantime, those who live at Delamere Road will be packing up Christmas and taking it elsewhere. Katie Fawcett in Bedworth for Central News.
Young Muslims in Leicester are among the first in the country to take up citizenship lessons. They're being held at madrasas, a type of mosque school which organisers say are often misunderstood. They say the message is that being a good Muslim is the same as being a good citizen, as Nick Qureshi explains.
This is a Saturday workshop at Catherine Junior School. More than 50% of school children in Leicester are from ethnic minorities, so pupils here are keen to attend and learn.
Well, it means a lot because I get to learn a lot more about my religion. You learn about the 5 pillars and what you do as a Muslim.
We learn about bullying, health and safety issues and all that, and how to react with people outside our communities with manners and respect.
Through class discussion, role play and written exercises, the children aged 7 to 14 learn all about values and respect. These lessons build on existing community-led work and reinforce the citizenship curriculum within Islam.
For Muslim pupils, anything which comes from Islamic perspective has more impact. So what we are doing effectively, what they are learning in a secular school, in a mainstream school, we are reinforcing the message from Islamic perspective. So it's not actually something extra, it's the same thing, but we're actually reinforcing the message, as I said, from Quran and from Hadith.
This madrasa is one of 30 across the UK piloting the new lessons organised by the government. Those behind the project are keen to lift the lid on the word madrasa, to some signifying a secretive society breeding potential terrorists.
Obviously there are going to be stereotypes about madrasas, but really it does make me laugh because I come to one that's probably more advanced than the school that I went to, in all honesty. So, it's really refreshing to see.
They'll spend around 4 hours on a Saturday in lessons. Today's session culminated with the usual end-of-term report on Parents' Day. People behind studies here, keen to promote tolerance and respect. Nick Qureshi in Leicester for Central News.
Now, a barn that dates back to the 1700s, which has had a £300,000 renovation, is now being threatened with demolition. The news comes despite the fact a family of tawny owls has taken up residence there too. The owners say it would be criminal to tear the place down, but the local council says it's criminal that the building is still standing because it goes against planning regulations. And Finch reports.
This home here was built from scratch around 5 years ago. Planning permission for that wasn't a problem. These agricultural barns, these haven't been a problem either. But what is the problem is this stone barn here, and it's been stood on the same spot since around the 1700s. The developers say it's not just for historical reasons that the building should be saved, but for environmental reasons too, as a number of tawny owls have taken up residence here, though they were too shy to come out and be filmed today. And the council hasn't ruled out using direct action to demolish the building in order to enforce the planning notice.
I was mortified. I mean, this is a beautiful building, beautiful stone building, typical Derbyshire Peak stone barn.
What will you do now, I mean, when the bulldozers come?
There'll be a lot of people crying, I would think. I think this is a travesty of justice.
We have got planning permission to replace this with some sort of a modern building once it's been pulled to the floor. We have actually got planning permission.
But you would rather preserve what's here?
Of course I would, yeah.
And these developers say the work they've carried out hasn't altered the outside of the building at all. The High Peak Borough Council says they're working to protect the open countryside from unauthorised building and to safeguard its character for future generations to enjoy. They also say that for every day the barn remains in situ, a criminal offence is being committed. They've also consulted with the RSPB, who say that it would be acceptable to destroy the barn at this time of year, and any nests are only protected in the springtime when owls are breeding. Helen Finch in the Peak District for Central News.
More dogs than ever are being abandoned in Birmingham because of the credit crunch. The dog's home in Digbeth is taking in 17 dogs a day, which is 10 more than this time last year. They say they're struggling to cope.
Every Christmas we have the same stories where there's lots of dogs brought into the home. However, this Christmas has been exceptionally worse. In the last 4 days we've had over 60 dogs arriving at the home, and currently we've only got about 18 kennels left available to take the stray dogs in.
Now, have you been braving the crowds to do your Christmas shopping today? If you were, you weren't alone. This is how it looked in Birmingham earlier. Pretty busy, and it's thought £111 a second was being spent throughout the day. Shoppers told us the recent VAT cut has helped, but overall the credit crunch isn't affecting too many people's festive fun.
Christmas will be the same as ever for us.
We're trying to save as much as we can at the moment.
Helped out of that by all the sales being on.
It's the last weekend, isn't it? And I haven't done any shopping at all. I haven't got any time to worry about the sales. I've just got to get some presents.
And if, like me, you've left it to the last minute to send your Christmas cards, well, you've got a few minutes left if you can find a postbox for the 7 o'clock delivery. Today was the final posting day for first-class mail before Christmas. In the Midlands, the Royal Mail will handle more than 35 million letters this week, and nationally, postal workers will deal with around 750,000 letters for Santa alone. Well, it's been fairly mild today. Let's see how the weather's shaping up now for the rest of the weekend. Over to you, Emma Jess.
Central Weather with BMIBaby.com.
Hello there, and thank you very much to Kevin Harris for sending in this picture. I think it's very representative of what the weather's going to be like over the next few days. Right now, it's feeling exceptionally mild. You probably don't need me to point that out to you, but over the next few days, things will turn more settled and colder, and there will be quite a few problems with fog and also with frost, particularly as we head towards the big day, Christmas Day. Taking a look at the rest of tonight, first of all, a lot of cloud around, but some breaks in that, mainly staying dry. The wind's starting to pick up a little bit later on. To see outside, risk of a spitty spot of drizzle out to the west there, and temperatures very much on the mild side still. We're in this warm sector at the moment, and we remain in that warm sector tomorrow. Talking of which, here it is, and it's still looking quite cloudy, best of any breaks over towards the east there. Temperatures, well, temperatures 11 Celsius, which is 52 Fahrenheit. They should normally be around 7 Celsius at this time of year, which is 45, so quite a noticeable difference, I think you'll agree. After that, we're still in the mild sector on Monday. For Tuesday, a change is afoot, and it gets noticeably colder by Wednesday, -2 in the morning, only up to 5 in the afternoon. Bye-bye.
Central Weather with BMIBaby.com, the airline with tiny fares.
I don't think a white Christmas is going to happen, is it? Still, here it is. A few days left. Okay, that's all from Central News for now. We're back with updates tomorrow at 5 to 12, and again just before 6 o'clock when Bob Hall will be here with our Sunday football roundup. In the meantime, remember there's more on our website, itvlocal.com/central. For now, though, enjoy your evening, won't you? Bye-bye.
Action and thrills in our movie tonight. Tom Cruise stars in Mission Impossible 2. Right now, though, the latest ITV News with James Mates.
Good evening. There is growing expectation tonight that the government will produce a rescue package for Britain's struggling car industry, though it may be different to the bailout announced yesterday in America. One senior union leader today warned that tens of thousands of jobs are at risk if financial aid isn't received within days. A senior Labour peer says he's confident that a package of loans will be arranged fairly soon. Our political correspondent Alex Forrest reports.
We've seen this before, and the picture hasn't changed. Tens of thousands of cars, but no buyers. And that means tens of thousands of jobs at risk.
If we lost several thousand, tens of thousands of jobs that pay taxes, and those people end up claiming benefit, you've got to consider the cost to the economy, the cost to the country of allowing these businesses to go, and go permanently.
In the US, President Bush has finally agreed a $17.4 billion bailout of the country's two largest car manufacturers, including General Motors, which owns struggling Vauxhall. So if a Republican president can do that there, the question is, why can't a Labour Prime Minister help the car industry here? Pressure is certainly mounting. The official line from Number 10 is that talks are ongoing, but that there's no change. The feeling in Westminster, though, is that change is coming. It's just a question of when.
It's a great pleasure to be here.
Even a friend of Gordon Brown's, the Labour peer Lord Bhattacharya, says he thinks a series of government loans will be made available fairly soon. Jaguar Land Rover, he believes, could get a package worth hundreds of millions of pounds, with other car manufacturers also benefiting. The company itself says it doesn't want a handout, just access to credit, and it promises any government loans will be paid back.
If we take Land Rover, which is in my constituency, up until the beginning of this year, they were enjoying record sales, making huge investment in green technologies. This problem is not of their making.
Government officials may feel irritated that this company needs help at all. After all, its owner, Tata, is making money. But with an entire industry at risk, there seems too much to lose. Alex Forrest, ITV News.
America says it's to send up to 30,000 extra troops to Afghanistan by the beginning of next summer. It'll take the total number of US troops in the country to around 60,000. This latest deployment is seen as part of President-elect Barack Obama's pledge to move the focus from Iraq to Afghanistan. The British Round the World yachtswoman Sam Davis has resumed her race after diverting to help a severely injured rival. Medics have now rescued the stricken sailor, a Frenchman, and are taking him back to Australia for urgent medical treatment. Phil Ray Smith has the latest.
It must have been a welcome sight looming over the horizon. The Australian frigate finally reaching injured French sailor Jan Elias, seen here before the broken femur that left him in agony and unable to move for 2 days. A doctor and other crew members were able to transfer him to the rescue ship for treatment. British yachtswoman Sam Davis had headed off course to help him, but can now rejoin the race.
The conditions now are pretty calm, which is good news because they should be transferring right now, which is not an easy job for someone with a broken leg, and so it's fantastic that we've got this light wind.
The French sailor was injured when a huge wave slammed into his boat on Thursday. He'll be taken to hospital in Perth. His yacht will sail on unmanned until a crew are sent to retrieve it. Phil Ray Smith, ITV News.
Britain's high street stores are planning a major extension of shopping hours to boost their flagging pre-Christmas sales. Many supermarkets will be open for 24 hours from tomorrow night, following one of the most important weekends of the year for retailers. Football now, and Sam Allardyce has made the perfect start as Blackburn Rovers manager. His new side beat Stoke City 3-0 this afternoon. Aston Villa can go third if they win at West Ham in the evening match, but despite their best efforts, it's still goalless at Upton Park. In the other games, Bolton and Fulham were also winners, while Sunderland's victory over Hull puts Manchester City into the relegation zone. In the SPL, Hamilton won the battle of the bottom two clubs thanks to James McCarthy's 2 goals against Motherwell, but Hamilton stay at the foot of the table. Elsewhere it finished goalless at Hearts. There were away wins for Aberdeen and St Mirren, and Rangers' victory moves them to within a point of leaders Celtic. Cricket, and England's batsmen will start their first innings tomorrow, facing a daunting Indian total in the second test at Mohali. England finally bowled out the home side for 453 at the end of the second day, with Andrew Flintoff and Graham Swan taking 3 wickets apiece. Finally, it was meant to be the perfect start to Christmas. A trip to Lapland to see Santa, but dozens of children were left tearful and disappointed when they arrived at Manchester Airport today and discovered their flight had been cancelled. Jackie Kaplan takes up the story.
Angry parents, tearful children, as their magical Christmas day trip is over before it begins. Organisers had promised a day to remember, and it certainly was, for all the wrong reasons. Nearly 170 excited passengers were ready to board the day return flight from Manchester to Lapland when they were told it was cancelled due to poor weather at their destination. Families like the Davies were devastated.
Children were crying, grandparents were crying, mums and dads were crying. There was absolute uproar there.
These are the sort of scenes the children had been hoping to see. But the airline, Blue Line, said the cancellation was because conditions in Finland were not compatible with air safety procedure. However, ITV News has learned that after an icy start, 4 other planes did land safely at the airport during the day. Tour operator Transsun has promised all passengers a full refund. But for these tearful children, meeting Father Christmas will remain a dream. Jackie Kabler, ITV News.
I'm back with the late news at 5 to 11. Enjoy your evening.
So the skies are filled with clouds, feeling wheels and do you proud. Whether sky is grey or blue, a car insurance covers you.
Hello there, very good evening to you. It really has been a very, very mild start to the weekend, as expected. And over the next few days, it is going to continue mostly cloudy with patchy light rain mostly across the northern areas. But also as we move towards Christmas Day, it is going to slowly become cooler as well. So looking ahead then to tonight, still a fair amount of cloud and rain around, mostly, as I say, that patchy light rain across the central areas, but more significant rain starting to move in across the northern parts of Scotland and turning to snow across the higher grounds, and also winds really pepping up there towards the northwest too. And another incredibly mild night, temperatures for some into double figures. And then through tomorrow we're going to see once again a fairly cloudy and wet picture, brighter towards the north but still showery, and another very mild day. Have a great evening.
Whether skies are grey or blue, feelings with the cover you.
Harry Hill's here, and he's got the soaps in his sights later. Your Saturday night starts here with TP Burp in half an hour after New. You've been framed.
It's good. Goodfellas, making Saturday nights good.